Hello, and welcome to Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the hockey fan.
And my name is Fred. I am half a hockey fan.
Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. It's actually morning.
It is actually morning. I got my shit together and worked on the podcast yesterday, so...
Well, we had a little bit of free time during the week here.
It's true. We did have free time during the week. There's a lot less hockey than usual, especially from my team that I like. But We'll get into that a little later.
Yeah, no, it's been straight up no hockey in this house for more than one day.
And nobody is happier than our 13-year-olds.
Yeah, summertime started. Hockey's pretty much ended.
She couldn't be more excited.
Life is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there is still some hockey. Some stuff that is actually very relevant to my interests, but we'll still be talking about hockey all the way through the end of the season. So,
oh, we will?
Yes.
Oh, we're going all the way to the end?
Sorry to break it to you. This is a hockey podcast. It's not a Dallas Stars podcast. It's a hockey podcast. So
oh, boy.
We will continue to be going.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, sorry about your luck, babe.
It's all right.
He's only half a hockey fan. You can't blame him for being reluctant.
I don't blame myself.
So even though there's not a lot of hockey to cover, there's a lot to talk about. So let's just jump right in.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so.
You don't sound so enthusiastic.
I thought this was going to be like a 5-minute podcast.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your luck. But when have you ever known me to be not extra?
It's true. I'm pretty extra myself.
I've noticed. So there is a little bit of general news to talk about first. The PWHL season has come to an end, and the Minnesota Frost are the Walter Cup champions for the second year in a row.
Walter Cup?
That's their Stanley Cup, basically.
Okay.
They won the whole shebang.
They won the Walter.
Yeah, so second year of the PWHL, Minnesota Frost have won both times. So they're establishing themselves as a dominant force in the lady hockey industry.
Yeah, no, I like the Frost. I like their logo.
Their Gatorade logo. I like their colors, right? Purple's your favorite color.
It is. So, yeah, that's funny. It's the Walter and the Stanley. It's like two old men.
I mean, hockey's an old man sport. What can I say?
It's like the guys on the Muppet Show.
I was just going to say, it's like Statler and Waldorf, Stanley and Walter. Pretty much the same thing. I feel like their after celebration kind of summed up the biggest difference between like men's sports and women's sports to me. You know how there's always like the celebration in the locker room where they have the trophy and everyone's spraying champagne all over each other.
Sure. Yeah.
In the Frost locker room, they taped down like plastic sheeting over the carpets and the lockers and everything so that it would be very nice and easy to clean up when it was all over.
That's, I guess, very responsible.
I thought it was very responsible and very practical and very thoughtful. So,
yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I've never dealt with tons of bottles of champagne on carpets, but that can't be great for like the crew. I
have worked in the restaurant industry and champagne's very sticky. We'll just say that.
Okay.
Any kind of alcohol, sugar content, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as margaritas, says the lady who spilled a tray of margaritas down her shirt one time.
Yeah.
So, not great. Anyway, I thought that was very clever of them.
Well, that's good. So they were prepared to win, basically.
They were. I don't know if they did that last year, but this year, certainly, they were like, okay, this year we're going to do this right.
Yeah. So, after second intermission, the crew came in. They're like, hell no.
Nope, not again.
No, we're not staying late cleaning up champagne.
Nuh-uh. Nope. We got these tarps and we're not afraid to use them.
Okay.
So,
well, that's cool.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really see any of the end of the PWHL season.
We really didn't. Next year, I need to be more thoughtful about working that in the rotation. For myself, at least, I don't want to subject you to too much more. Maybe you should be in charge of the PWHL. I'll be in charge of the NHL.
I'm going to be in charge of nothing.
That is fair. And yes, we'll continue on that front.
I might actually do less hockey next year.
You're going to be a quarter of a hockey fan next year.
Hold on, my alarm's going off.
Yes. All right. Well, moving on. So Jonathan Taves reached out to his agent a few days ago to inform him that he is 100% committed to coming back to the NHL next season. And his agent said he will start taking calls from NHL teams. I don't know if you know who that is.
I think he's a guy for Winnipeg.
No,
he's a guy for the Maple Leafs.
Nope.
Oh, God. I know the name. He's a guy for the Avalanche.
Nope.
Oh, man. Nope. Don't know.
He used to play for Chicago.
Okay.
He and Patrick Kane were like the guys for Chicago for a long time. He was the captain. He is actually kind of the reason I got into hockey.
Okay.
When I had my concussion and I started reading about hockey, I read an article about a hockey player who hid concussion symptoms and ended up driving his car into a bridge. That was him. He was a dummy.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. So he has been out the last time he played a game was in April of 2023.
Oh, that's why I don't know him. I know the name, right?
Right. Yeah, I've mentioned him before.
Is there another Taves?
There is Devon Taves, who is Colorado.
Okay, thank you.
So,
see, I'm not.
There you go.
I know some things.
You're not completely stupid.
Yeah.
You're just mostly stupid.
Right, exactly. And it isn't Taves. I know that too.
No, it is the same spelling, Toews.
Yeah.
So very confusing. I understand.
I know two things.
He is from Winnipeg, too, actually. So there you have it.
I didn't know that.
Well, lucky guess, I guess. Anyway, he has been out since April of 2023. He was dealing with long COVID. He has gone through a lot. He's the one who went to India and went through some crazy Ayurvedic cleansing thing that sounded...
Oh, you told me about that.
I did, yeah. It sounded very, very gross from what I've read.
Lots of enemas.
Lots of enemas, lots of induced vomiting.
Ugh, no thanks.
No thanks. I mean, as somebody who has a condition that is pretty similar to long COVID...
what?
Mast cell stuff. It's very similar to long COVID. I understand it, actually. I have gone through some stuff to feel better, but that might be a bridge too far for me. No pun intended about bridges. Anyway.
I get it. I was like, there's no bridge that goes to India.
No, I know. It's still a little early for me.
It is. I'm only partway through my energy drink.
I haven't even had a full iced chai yet.
Yep.
So I have kind of conflicted feelings about him coming back. He was a good player. He definitely benefited from playing with Patrick Kane, who is, I also have complicated feelings about. From somebody who has been through health issues myself, I understand the feeling of him not wanting to retire because he was forced out of it. I understand him working towards wanting to come back and go out on his own terms. I also just don't think he's necessarily a great person. Oh. So, he was the captain during the whole scandal that went on with the sexual abuse and the covering it up. And he was sort of when people got fired over it, he was like, I don't think people should lose their livelihoods over it. And it's like, oh, yikes, dude.
Yeah, some bad takes.
Yeah, and he was the captain at the time. And it's I know you were basically a child. You were 23, but still, you were the captain. You should have been better. So I don't know. But he's coming back. Some people are already should we bring him to the Stars? And I'm like, absolutely fucking not.
Right. With
what money, for one thing. So anyway. Well,
once they get rid of some dead weight on that team.
I don't want to talk about it.
Now, does interesting question. Does Pete DeBoer's salary hit the cap or no?
No, that's separate.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
But yeah, with coaching salaries, there's not a cap issue, but some ownership, they're cheap. Rich people are the cheapest people I've ever met. And so they don't want to pay out a coach to buy out their contract.
Yeah.
They will just want them to finish their contract sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll get more into that later.
Okay.
All right. Something positive from the Stars organization. Daryl Ray, better known to Stars fans as Razor, one of our beloved broadcasters, is the winner of this year's Foster Hewitt Memorial Award, which is given to people who do outstanding contributions as a hockey broadcaster. So what this means is that he's being inducted into the media wing of the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah. What a mastodonic achievement for him.
It certainly is. I am really excited for him. He is, I think, one of the best broadcasters. He is. He wears on me as the season goes but he is great. I do think it's important with any hockey team you follow to really like the home broadcast team. And I like him. He can be a lot. I'm not going to argue with that, but he and Josh, I think, are a great team, and he's been around forever. And he really, I think, does great work. So
yeah, they both do. And no complaints there. Hockey Hall of Fame media wing. Sure.
He wasn't going to be a Hockey Hall of Fame goalie, so media wing, I think, is a great fit for him.
It's a great fit.
Yeah. An email went out to Capital season ticket holders this week that said next year would be Ovechkin's final season. And everyone was like, OMG. And then the Capitals had to put out a statement that was that was not true. No official decision has been made. That was just a salesperson who said that. But then apparently his wife, Nastia, said in a recent interview, Alexander still has a contract for a year, so we will play the next season and then fly back to live in Moscow to our homeland. We will stay in Russia, yes.
Huh. Okay.
So, I mean, he's been kind of open about like wanting to be done with the NHL after his contract ends and go back to Russia and probably play there for a few years. And, you know, he's not getting younger. Like,
now, most
he wants
of us
to play
are
in Russia. No, I'm getting older every minute.
I'm reverse Benjamin Buttoning it over here every day.
So you're just aging normally?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, like, yeah, he could probably still play when he's older, but like not everybody can be Jaromir Jagr and play until they're like 150 years old. So if he wants to play in Russia, he probably needs to do it sooner rather than later. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is his last year, but if he doesn't announce it right away, because he just did a whole year of doing the Great Chase and being like the center of attention. And we just had a whole year of the Marc-Andre Fleury retirement extravaganza tour. I feel like he just doesn't maybe want all that attention again.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
He just wants to be part of his like bromance polycule with his teammates and do that.
Senior year.
He just wants to slack off with his friends. He already got into college in Russia.
Exactly.
And he just wants to do that. And that's fine. So, yeah. And then finally, Amazon Prime has unveiled the cast for the new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. This is their second season after they did the thing last season.
Yeah.
Which we covered in, I think, our first episode.
Did we? Yeah, we watched it.
We did. Yeah. Gosh, we were just children back then.
Oh my God.
35 weeks ago.
We've come so far.
We have. Not that far.
No,
pretty far.
No, pretty far. Anyway.
So the people profiled in season 2 will be Marc-Andre Fleury, speaking of him, Sidney Crosby, Seth Jarvis, Quentin Byfield, and Anze Kopitar from the Kings. There's no one from the Oilers this year, which was a little surprising. Last year there was Connor McDavid, but Leon Draisaitl was kind of a side character. Somebody did say that probably they asked Leon and he said yes, but because he had resting Leon face, they thought it was a no. And that's how I'm saying resting bitch face from now on, is resting Leon face.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Right. They just misinterpret it. They're like, oh man, he's real pissed. Never mind.
Yeah. And he's like, why didn't they call me back? I was very interested in doing that. So, and yeah, they're not opposed to repeating people too, because they have William Nylander from the Leafs again.
Got to see what that man's up to.
They also have Brendan Shanahan from the Leafs, or formerly of the Leafs at this point, I guess.
I got no reference for him.
He's the GM guy.
Oh,
the Shanaplan.
The Shanaplan guy.
Yes.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Yeah, he's a non-player being followed in this. So that's interesting.
A non-player with just a lot of drama and love directed towards him.
Yes, nothing but love. Matthew Tkachuk's going to appear again, as will Brady Tkachuk. Brady was a little more of a side character last year. I think we're going to see a lot more of him this year.
Yeah, I think with their
the
run.
Four Nations and them doing a run.
Sure.
Zach Werenski and Sean Monahan from the Blue Jackets will be there. I feel like Zach Werenski, he's at Four Nations, so that's going to be a thing. I think there's going to be a lot of Johnny Gaudreau storyline in there, especially with Sean Monahan being his best friend.
Yep.
And obviously, going back to Marc-Andre Fleury, we'll be talking about his retirement tour.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 people in the documentary are going to be Thomas Harley, Wyatt Johnston, and Mikko Rantanen.
Boom.
We have 3 Stars players in the documentary.
3 stars.
We never get national coverage. We were like, what the fuck? Stars fans were like, who? What?
So
us?
So the cameras have been following them around already.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be for this season, obviously.
It is. Yeah.
So we get to relive it again. Yay.
Oh boy, just what I wanted. A trip down memory lane. Well, it won't be coming out until the fall. So hopefully at that point, I'll have processed through my emotions.
You'll be nostalgic for this season.
Yeah. I'm imagining Four Nations is going to be something of a storyline with how many of the people here participated in Four Nations. Because we had Werenski, who played a big role. Sidney Crosby, obviously.
That was the first time I heard of that guy.
Right. And then
not Sidney Crosby.
Right.
You won't stop talking about him.
Nobody will stop talking about him. He's kind of the guy. The Tkachuks, Thomas Harley coming in at the last minute to be there. So I think there's a lot of Four Nations.
I think you're right. It's going to be Four Nations focused.
I think that could definitely play a huge role. Mikko Rantanen, obviously, huge storylines with the trades and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wyatt Johnston, I don't know about his storyline. Buddy.
I don't know. It'll be okay in parts, but not okay in other parts.
No, it's not going to be great. So
yeah,
my poor little guy.
I mean, he had a history making season, but
he sure did. I don't want to talk about that right now.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and talk about the Eastern Conference and the wrapping up of the Carolina versus Panthers series.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, we'll do that and then we'll get back to the Stars.
All right, sounds good.
I just want to avoid it a little longer.
Yeah, drag it out a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So the last time we checked in on that series, the Hurricanes were down 3-0 in the series and were in serious danger of getting swept in the Eastern Conference Finals yet again after being swept in their prior 3 appearances in 2009, 2019, and 2023. So in Game 3, Brenda Moore had gone outside the box and put in the backup goalie Kochetkov. But for Game 4 on Monday, he went back to starter Freddie Anderson.
Yep.
Which I think was a good call.
Yeah, I like Anderson.
Yeah. So the team did really back in Game 3 start looking a lot more like themselves, playing kind of Canes hockey again. And they looked good the first 2 periods, and then they kind of fell apart in the third.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Game 4, they started out looking really solid again. They were controlling the pace. They were outshooting the Panthers. And the game stayed scoreless until halfway into the second period, when your friend and mine, Logan Stankoven, got a beautiful pass from Nikishin and roofed it on Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
For the first goal of the game.
We were excited.
There was yelling. It was very exciting. I was so happy. He's just so cute. He's so little, the way he like disappears into the hugs, the group hugs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was awesome. I was so proud of him. I miss him so much in Dallas, but I just couldn't be happier for how well he's been doing there. He's just flourishing.
Yeah, I think he got the better end of that deal or something. Or he ended up good.
He, I think, ended up okay. I think it was very hurtful for him at the time. But, again, probably to be like, oh, these people wanted me. And they were like, okay, we'll give you Mikko Rantanen, but we want this Logan Stankoven kid. Like, that's got to be a pretty good ego boost.
It's not a bad ego boost.
Yeah, right.
Just copy what you said.
Exactly. That's okay. I'm used to it. So that was it for scoring for a while. And the second period ended with the Canes up 1-0. And then Florida had several power plays throughout the game, but the Canes really limited their shots. And when the Panthers did take shots, Anderson made some outstanding saves. Paul Maurice pulled Bobrovsky with over 2 minutes left in the game, and Jarvis immediately stole the puck and took off with it. He passed it to Svechnikov, who passed it to Aho, who scored the empty netter. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us were like, oh my God, enough with the passing, because
seriously, those guys just got to shoot the puck sometimes.
They really do.
Holy smokes.
But people had pointed out online that Aho has not been taking shots. So maybe this was Svechnikov's way of being like, oh my God, shoot the goddamn puck. Like,
right.
Because Aho literally had no choice but to shoot the puck at that point. Maybe he was just trying to unlock something. So
yeah,
it was still scary.
Yeah. And they're like notably like a team that just shoots the puck too. And then they just stopped doing that during the playoffs, basically.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on.
I don't know. But yeah.
So since there was still 2 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock after that, they just left Bobrovsky out of the net. And then Jordan Staal scored another empty net goal. And that was enough to end the game. The Canes won 3-0. They earned a shutout. They won their first Eastern Conference final game after 15 consecutive losses.
Yeah, everyone was like, cool, we at least got this. We don't care about the rest.
I mean, that was huge. Like, to break the curse like that.
Right.
And you know who won the game, who had the game-winning goal?
Logan Stankoven. Those other 2 goals weren't really necessary. Logan had the game winner. Right.
And the only full strength goal at that. So
yeah. The Florida was like down a bunch of dudes, right? They were just resting people like mid series.
Yeah, I mean, they were like injured, but probably they could have played through injuries. But since they were, up 3-0 in the series, they were like, sure, we're going to go ahead and rest like 3 guys. So
yeah. That
might have been part of it. But they also just kind of looked off.
They did, yeah. They didn't look good at all. But, Well, on Wednesday, we had Game 5, and there was some optimism after the win. And that was reinforced when Aho scored early in the first period on a breakaway. And maybe Svechnikov passing him that puck made him remember, oh, I can shoot the puck. Yeah, it was a cool shot.
It was a really cool shot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was after a turnover from the Panthers too. So,
right.
Yeah, really capitalizing on an error kind of thing. And really, I don't know, they looked like them again, which is great. Anderson made some really great saves, but then Bobrovsky also made some great saves. And then Aho scored another goal, and it was basically like the mirror image of his first goal. It was like the same shot, just from the other side of the ice.
Yeah.
So, end of the first period, Canes are up 2-0. It's feeling good. Unfortunately, Florida is the next team to score 8 minutes into the second when Matthew Tkachuk himself had a power play goal.
Yeah.
So that seemed to rattle the Canes, because 30 seconds later, the Panthers scored again. And then 4 minutes later, the Panthers got another goal, and they had a 3-2 lead when the second period ended.
Yep.
So yeah, first period, all Canes. Second period, all Panthers.
Yeah, once they got that one goal, it was kind of like over.
You could see the collapse in real time.
Yeah, there was some deflation going on amongst the Canes, it seemed like. They were like, oh, no, that's right. They're good.
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, this isn't good. Oh, uh-oh. Well, the Canes did come out with lots of desperation in the third, and halfway through the period, Seth Jarvis tied the game again at 3-3.
Yeah.
So that was, again, we were optimistic. But then Florida regained the lead once again, and the Canes put their all into tying it up. They pulled the goalie near the end of the game while they were on the power play, but they just couldn't make anything happen. And with less than a minute to go, Sam Bennett came out of the box and scooped up the puck and scored an empty net goal.
Yep.
And put the dagger in it. And the sad thing is the Canes really outshot the Oilers by a substantial amount that game, but they just couldn't break through.
How are they shooting? You're comparing the Oilers against...
I mean, sorry. The Canes outshot the Panthers.
It's like, that's a weird stat.
It's pretty early in the morning. What can I say? So, yeah. Anyway, so that happened.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the series. I feel like the handshake line was the big conversation.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Game.
Right. Yeah. I think we realized Florida was going to win that regardless, even though we were rooting for the underdogs.
Yeah, we at least hoped the Canes would pull out some more. But really, the fact that they won a game
seems to have energized the entire fan base. They're like, hey, we got one. Check that out.
Sometimes you just have to take your victories where you find them.
And DeBoer was like super pleased with everybody. He's like, we weren't even supposed to be here. This is great.
Yeah, which is true, honestly. So They did great. I think they had some good building blocks going forward. Paul Maurice caused some controversy when he went over to DeBoer and was like, hey, I don't think we should shake hands with the coaches should stay out of the handshaking line. And DeBoer was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
So they didn't join the handshaking line.
Yeah.
Because Maurice thinks it should be for the players. And it's like, that's fine if you want to make that stand. But it's like, I guess he feels like, I don't know, if he doesn't join the handshake line just by himself, he looks like he's being a jerk. So he wants the other coach to do it too. So it looks like a stance or something.
Yeah.
But like, you can't just like unilaterally change a tradition.
Yeah, no. The overwhelming takes I saw on that was that, oh, look, it's Paul Maurice grabbing all the attention for himself because the man loves the camera pointed on him. And it's been like a conversation for a week. They're asking players on other teams about it during their exit interviews.
Yeah, for sure.
Like good job, Paul Maurice, you attention seeker.
I mean, it could be argued that he's trying to, again, draw the attention to himself to get the attention off of some of the more unsavory plays his players have been doing.
Yeah.
Which is not out of character for him as well.
Yep.
So who knows about that? The handshake line was pretty meh, though. I think you commented that the Panthers could not have looked less interested.
They just were waiting to get back to the locker room and pack their shit to
and go to Dairy Queen.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, Matthew Tkachuk too I don't know. There's a word for it.
Apathetic?
Yeah, it was just like he wasn't present or involved or even conscious of shaking people's hands and being nice.
He dissociated during
he wasn't being mean.
He wasn't being a jerk, but he just was not invested.
He's like, yeah. Okay, here we go. He's like, we were going to do this. It just, I don't know.
It felt obligatory.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I really like the handshake line, but you're right. There is a vibe that was not there.
No, they were just whatever. We're going to beat you anyway.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like, okay, on to the next one.
Right.
And maybe that is what they were thinking, but
I mean, rightfully so.
Right.
But
try to
put on a show.
We know you know how to put on a show, Matthew Tkachuk.
Absolutely.
It's kind of what you do.
Yeah, do a little acting just for another 2 minutes.
Do a showmanship. We know you can do that. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So the Panthers are going on to the finals.
Yep.
Kind of not a surprise.
No one's surprised. Yeah.
No one's surprised.
Yeah, we rooted against them throughout the series, and
Yeah, I mean, we were rooting for Logan Stankoven.
Yep.
And by extension, the Hurricanes.
Yep.
And that's fine.
Whoever they played before, we were rooting for the Leafs.
Yes.
Yeah, we were.
Yes, we were rooting for the Leafs.
Yeah. Very different from us last year.
I know. Last year, we went all in on the Panthers after the Stars were eliminated. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Here they go again.
All right. They're going for it. They're going for back-to-back. All right. I can't avoid talking about it anymore.
Oh, we're already there?
West. Yeah, there were only 2 games.
Yeah, I know.
We're done. And there's only going to be 2 games to talk about here, too.
Oh, yeah. So, spoiler alert.
Yeah. My first note under this section is let's get this over with.
Yeah.
So here we go. So we'll start with game 4 on Tuesday, which was in Edmonton. And the Oilers looked good and we looked bad. That's pretty much what I have.
Yeah, that really sums up the whole series.
Pretty much. Robo scored a goal and 4 Oilers scored goals. And I don't really know what else to say about that. We looked as lackluster as we have looked through much of the season. The most interesting part of the game was when Leon got pissy about being thrown out of the face-off circle and made an interesting hand gesture, which kind of looked obscene, but was really just him making fun of the refs for faking dropping the puck.
Right, like shaking their hands. Well, he's like, yeah, of course I'm going to go. You're over here shaking your hand like that, you dumbass.
Yes, but the way he held his hand kind of at waist level was a little, I was like, what's he doing?
Yeah,
what's happening?
That was entertaining.
The other thing that happened that game was Mason Marchment collided with Zach Hyman, and it looked pretty innocuous, but Zach Hyman immediately was like, gotta go, and left the ice and didn't come back for the game. And then what we found out later was that his wrist is broken and he has to have surgery.
That's wild that broke his wrist.
It did not look like anything. It looked like, and it was obviously like an accidental collision.
Yeah, it wasn't like Marchment leaned in a little bit, but like it was just like normal hockey. Like it wasn't even like I'm trying to get you hockey. It was just like, eh.
I mean, some people are trying to say that Marchment like jumped into it. It just looked like Mason Marchment being a clumsy skater as per usual.
No, it didn't. It was nothing.
Mason Marchment didn't start playing hockey until he was like 12, and he didn't start skating until very shortly before that. Most of these hockey players start skating like around the same time they start walking.
Yeah.
So he's a legitimately bad skater.
He's new out there.
He looks like a baby fawn because he is a baby fawn.
Yeah, like when the horses are born and their legs are all shaky.
Exactly, that's him.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say he's not kind of a jackass sometimes, but like also he is very bad at skating. So.
Yeah.
Anyone who thinks it was kind of like a intentional thing, which thankfully is very few people. Very few people think
I don't know how you'd look at that and go like, oh, he was trying to break his wrist. What? No.
There are a few people, but there's always a few people. But for the most part, even Edmonton fans are like, that was a nothing. Like that was just accidental bad luck. So
yep,
that sucked. Also, that game, we had no Rope hints because the game before that, he had taken a slash in the foot from
Darnell Nurse.
Or was that the game he sat out, or was that the first game he was back? That was the first game he was back, maybe.
Okay.
I can't remember. It all blurs together.
Yeah.
Anyway, at some point, Darnell Nurse slashed Rope Hintz in the foot.
Yep.
Rope left the game in pain, didn't participate in the next game. We talked about this a little bit last week.
Yep.
People are like, he's a diver. He's faking. He's only sitting out of this game to sell what a faker he is, because that's normal, logical stuff to do. Then his first game back, Evan Bouchard slashed him in the foot again just to test him, I guess. And it hurt. And everyone's like, no, he had a delayed reaction. He was just pretending again. And it was just really stupid.
Yeah.
So that all happened too.
Yeah, it was a terrible game. They didn't look good. Robo is the only one that scored a goal.
Yeah.
And it was from Robo's office, which is like right there down by the net, right in the middle, like the most prime ideal spot.
Yeah.
So
the opposite of S. Lindell's office.
Yeah.
No, it was just not a good game.
No.
So that took us to game 5 on Thursday, which was back in Dallas. And this was a do or die elimination game. We really needed to pull our shit together for this one.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was really important to start out strong.
Everyone agreed it was important to start out strong.
Yeah, we had, I think at that point, had started behind in like 15 out of 17 games or 14 out of 17 games. So we really needed to score first.
Yep.
We needed to not take bad penalties.
Yep.
So how did we start the game?
Not scoring first.
And
taking a terrible penalty.
Yeah. We put Maverick Bourque in, who I like. I like Maverick Bourque, but it was like the dumbest penalty I've ever seen in a playoff game. It would have been bad in like a preseason game.
Right.
It was just the most casual high sticking I've ever seen. It was just
sloppy.
Just so sloppy.
Just silly.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So
I still don't even understand the idea to put him in. Like I like Bourque too, but like he hadn't really played
any games, or not in this series?
He had played some here and there, but I think it was just a matter of like what we had going wasn't working. So Pete's just trying to mix things up.
Well, Pete's a master mixologist.
He's a something, all right. We'll get into that in a little bit. So anyway, yeah, Maverick Bork took one of the worst penalties I've ever seen in a playoff game, and the Oilers immediately scored a goal on, I think, the first shot of the game.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, Matthias Janmark scored after an absolute defensive meltdown.
Yeah.
So we're, 7 minutes into the game, down 2 goals. Pete DeBoer calls his timeout.
Timeout in the first period.
First period.
I was shocked. I was like, whoa, he's calling a timeout right now?
Yeah, right. No, it's like, what the fuck?
And I think we understood. We're like, yeah, you got to do something because this is not off to a great start.
Right. So he calls everyone over. He starts yelling at everybody, as, you would do. And then everyone starts to disperse. Jake starts heading back to the goal. And he goes, hold up, Otter. You're coming out. Smith is going in. Which, if he was going to do a goalie pull, he should have just done that from the get-go, because then he could have saved his timeout.
Yeah.
Like, you can just do a goalie pull whenever, and then the game pauses.
Yeah.
Like, so he could have just done that. So that just leaves it to me to think it was a very spur-of-the-moment panic decision and not thought out at all at that point.
Yeah.
Those 2 goals were not on Jake.
Nope.
Like, could he have maybe saved the second one? Maybe theoretically, sure. But, like, those goals should have never gotten to him. Like, they just should not
absolutely
have. So it was an absolutely wild decision. At the time I was like, well, maybe he's just trying to like put a spark in the team.
Yep.
And then after the period, we'll see Jake come back in.
Yeah, it did put a pep in their step.
It did. It didn't immediately pay off, because pretty much right after they put DeSmith in, the Oilers scored on him again.
Yeah.
With a goal that I think, again, nobody could have stopped. That one was from Jeff Skinner, which good for him. That was his first playoff goal ever.
Right.
He's the one who played 1,078 regular season games, I think, before making it to the playoffs. So,
yeah. Hey,
congrats to him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were both under the impression that we would see Jake starting the second.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I will say that in the first period, we did get another goal for the Stars. So I think that one was a Robo goal.
Yep. Yeah, Robo's the only one scoring at the end of the season here, which is just, my mind imploded.
Yeah, no, I was like, I guess you can't talk shit about Robo anymore.
No, he's the only one scoring goals in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, that was where our offense finally came in. So yeah, the first period and we're down 3-1, but we are showing signs of life. We have a little zazz.
Yeah.
So hope's not dead yet, and we expect that when we come back in that Jake's going to be in the net. And Jake's there. He's walking out. People are fist bumping him, and Pete walks by and they ignore each other.
Yep.
And then DeSmith is in the net, and we're like, what the fuck? Yeah,
I was like, I don't know, a minute or a minute and a half late coming back to the second period. And when I sat down and I saw DeSmith there, I was like, wait, what? He didn't put Jake back in?
No. An entire continent was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I think Oilers fans are more upset than Stars fans, and Stars fans are plenty upset.
Oilers and Avs fans are like, WTF.
Yeah,
They're like, they feel bad.
Yeah, no, everybody's outraged about it.
Everybody.
And so,
except like 1 or 2 people that are just like, well, just you got to stop the puck. Blah, blah.
Right. And then they're all getting downvoted on the internet because they're dumb.
Yeah. I mean, based on that logic, Jake should have been pulled a couple of games before a bunch of times.
Right, exactly.
Not in the elimination game at home.
Not in the elimination game at home.
Yikes.
7 minutes in, which is the earliest he's ever been pulled in a game, by the way.
No.
So we did get on the board again 13 minutes into the second period with a power play goal by Robe Hintz. And he was assisted by Wyatt Johnston, who also had an assist on the first Robo goal. Mm-hmm. And so he's just trying to make a dent in his record-breaking plus-minus fiasco of a season.
Yeah. What did he end up with? Like -17 or something?
He was at a -18 at one point.
Yikes.
I don't know where he ended the season. I had to stop paying attention for self-defense because I was too upset. But just when we thought we had some life in us, 2 minutes after Rupe's goal, Connor McDavid got the puck on a fucking breakaway and scored, taking the score to 4-2, where it stayed as we went into the third period.
Yeah. I feel like, we watched those player association interviews where they like ask them questions. And I feel like if they like asked like everybody in the league, like, who would you say you're a goalie and who would you not want to have get the puck and do like a breakaway? Everyone would be like, oh, Connor
100%.
Connor McDavid, don't let him do that.
Yeah, no, he's literally the last person you want to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rope was trying real hard and almost kept up with him, but nobody can keep up with Connor McDavid. It's just too ungodly.
Yeah.
And Rope's doing this with an injured foot, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It was sick as well on the Connor McDavid side of things.
It was sick, and also I literally felt sick watching it. It was the worst. So third period starts. At this point, Smith's let in a couple goals.
Sure.
Maybe we'll see Otter back.
Or maybe they just go to the e-bug.
Well, we did not see Otter, at least not on the ice. We did see plenty of him because throughout the game, they kept cutting to him because where he sits is directly next to Ray Ferraro, who is like the on-ice guy.
Yeah.
And poor Jake had to be there on camera through much of the game while Ray Ferraro was talking about how he got pulled.
Yep.
And what a weird decision it was and why Pete might have pulled him. And to be fair, Ray Ferraro seemed to be on Jake's side that it was like a bad decision. But like,
yeah,
it's not fun. And like Jake can't hear like what the other guy is saying. So all he hears is like Ray Ferraro.
Right.
So
he's like, man, this dude just standing next to me talking shit.
Just talking shit all game long and just sitting there like dealing. I mean, the worst.
No, I mean, just having to sit next to Ray Ferraro is already bad enough.
Right. And then to like hear him talking about you and your job.
Oh, man.
During an elimination game.
Man.
I was like hiding under a blanket at parts. It was really, really awkward.
Yeah.
We did have a hot start to the third period with Robo scoring another goal just 38 seconds in. So again, we're still in it, maybe.
Thanks to Robo.
Thanks to Robo, our star player, Robo.
Yeah.
But once again, hope was short-lived. Evander Kane scored a goal that deflected in off of Essa Lindell. So just the most Dallas Stars-ass way to close out the season pretty much.
Yeah.
Because we weren't able to come back from that one. Edmonton did end up scoring an empty net at the end, and the final score was 6-3. The Dallas Stars series ended. The Dallas Stars season ended, and it ended on quite a sour note.
It ended up ending on it didn't have to end on a sour note. Like they still could have lost, and it didn't have to end on such a sour note.
Yeah, it could have ended on like an underwhelming note, but it didn't have to end on like a what the fuck? Why would you do that note?
Yeah.
And it didn't help that in the post-game interview, this is what Peter DeBoer had to say, because now he's Peter DeBoer.
Yeah, now
we're enemies now.
You're using Brian's.
Yes, me and Brian Ray, we call him Peter DeBoer. I don't know why Brian does it.
We always used to make fun of him for saying Peter DeBoer, but now we're like, oh, he maybe knew some things.
Maybe he did, but yeah, no, Peter DeBoer and I aren't friends, so he gets full named now. So what he had to say was, I didn't blame it all on Jake, but the reality is, if you go back to last year's playoffs, he's lost 6 of 7 games to Edmonton, and we give up 2 goals on 2 shots in an elimination game. It was partly to spark our team and wake them up, but also knowing that the status quo had not been working. That's a pretty big sample size. That was, shall we say, not well received by the fans.
I mean, there's no way to receive that well.
I mean, as people have pointed out, Pete DeBoer has a similar record against Edmonton as the coach.
Yeah.
And maybe he should be pulled.
He's certainly got a large sample size of not being able to win this Western Conference final.
Right. Yeah. No, not just with the Stars, but with teams before the Stars as well. So he's...
Noted Western Conference loser, Peter DeBoer.
Noted Western Conference loser, Peter DeBoer, had this to say about a franchise goaltender.
Right. Who many consider one of the best in the league.
Yes.
Across teams. Like everybody's like, we'll take Jake.
Everyone's like, oh my God, this is great because now Jake's going to be pissed and he's going to want to trade and we're going to take him. And I'm like, okay, cool your jets. It's not like that serious, but oh my God, it was appalling. It was just a terrible, terrible way to end the season.
It was it was the worst of looks.
It could not have looked worse. Like
no. It
was awful.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You know how easily I can just write people out of my life.
Yes, it's true.
Like DeBoer, he was never really written into my life, but like he's certainly been written out of it at this point. Like it's just like a weird chapter where it's like, oh no, he never talked about Peter DeBoer, but now he's written out of his life. Okay,
exactly. No, I I've been kind of down on DeBoer throughout the season. Go back and listen to our episodes. I haven't been pro DeBoer a lot of the time.
Nope.
But I haven't necessarily been like, he's the worst. But now I'm going to say it. He's the worst. He's got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Unfortunately, he's not going to go.
That's your take.
That's my take. I believe about 90% of the internet believes that he should and is going to go for sure. And there's no way that he and Jake are both going to be there next season. And that Jake is the franchise goaltender. So obviously it's easier to get rid of a coach. They're both going to be there next season, in my opinion.
I hope not. I think there's a strong possibility because you're generally right about things. And I know to just generally follow what you say. But I don't know.
There is a big sample size that says I'm right a lot of the time.
That's a very large sample size going back decades.
Decades for sure.
But I don't know if I'm Jim Nill, I would let him go on Monday or tomorrow. I wouldn't waste any time. I wouldn't drag it out for weeks. He'd be done. And I say this as someone who does not like the idea of firing anybody from any job ever.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm the person that's like, no, we can probably work with them. But like, I'm also not a sports coach. Like I work in IT.
That's
like,
true.
Like
different genre.
Yeah. People have lives and, families and bills and shit. Like I know it's different at like a making millions of dollars a year level. Like I'd be a little less worried. But anyway, I'm always like, no, we can figure out a way to make this work. And I'm just like, can him.
He just looks like a petulant child throwing a tantrum.
Yeah. And I mean, he started the tantrum throwing with the ref stuff earlier in the series.
Right. By saying that Nurse should have had a 5-minute major for the slash on Rope Hintz, which, sorry, he should not have.
Nope.
That is not the case. It should have been a 2-minute and it was a 2-minute and that's what it was. And we're lucky it wasn't a 4-on-4.
Yeah.
So he's already being a whiny baby about that.
Yep.
And then as somebody on, I think it was Tumblr pointed out that it doesn't matter how many goals Jake saves if we can't score.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, right?
And like Jake has a different coach. Like Jake has a goalie coach.
Right.
You know what DeBoer is in charge of coaching? The offense.
Yeah.
Like specifically like the 5-on-5 offense, which did not show up this series.
Not one bit.
If there's anybody to blame here, I don't think it's the goalie.
No, certainly not.
And it just feels like a lot of blame shifting and a lot of tantrum having because it just felt like he was like, no, we're so great on paper. I'm sure we'll figure it out. And then we never did. And he was like, well, fuck.
Must be Jake.
Must be Jake because it wasn't me.
And one thing I saw people point out is like Jake was the reason they even got to that game.
Absolutely. Jake faced more shots. I think over 100 more shots than any other goalie in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every other team in the playoffs had goalies where they had like could trade back and forth basically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They had like multiple goalies basically coming into play if there were injuries or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of injuries spread around with the goalies. Right?
Yeah. The only team that didn't bring in multiple goalies was the Panthers with Bobrovsky.
Right.
Panthers played fewer games than we did.
Well, yeah, because they're way better.
Right. I mean, you don't have to say it like that, but sure.
Right.
But yeah, Jake played more games than Bobrovsky, and then Jake faced more than 100 shots more than any other goalie in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know, man. It's just such a bad look for them at the end of the season. I hope that
like that's the act we're remembering as the season ends is Peter DeBoer.
Yeah, sorry.
Driving the bus over Jake Ottinger and then reversing it and backing over him again just to make sure he died. Like,
yeah. No, it's I don't know. I didn't like it. It wasn't what I would call leadership.
It was the opposite of leadership.
And even if like you're gonna like I saw a bunch of people say like, you do that stuff behind closed doors or whatever, like it still would have been wrong behind closed doors. Yeah,
it's just not right. It's just incorrect.
Yeah, no, it's just a defensive take. And no, I mean I've never been like the biggest fan of him. I didn't like Bonus either though. But
no, me either. But
so yeah, I don't know. I think he's got to go.
You're not the only one who thinks that. I would love to see him go. I've been on board the getting rid of him since midway through the season when our power play sucked ass.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who, is obsessed with the power play coach and won't get rid of him.
Now, yeah, both of them gone.
Unfortunately, the Dallas Stars owner has said basically about all of this, stuff. Why would I fire Pete. Like, there are no good coaches. Have you seen the coaches out there right now? Like, he's a good coach.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
Very dumb.
It doesn't matter what a good coach he is if, like, he's alienating your best players.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know, man. It's just... It's just bad.
It's just a huge letdown. Yeah, it's a terrible way to end the season. I hope they fix it, and I hope. I mean, if I was Jake was very.
I'll get into that in a second.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
I was just going to say, ultimately, the owner doesn't really make the decision usually.
Good.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they just decide to let him finish out the last year of this contract because he has one more year on his contract. And I think that maybe they just decide to go with the path of least resistance, which is, I think, the biggest problem with the Dallas Stars is that they like the path of least resistance.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel, people talk about coaches losing the room. I feel like if he's there next year, the room will be lost. Like, those guys know exactly how all that went down, and they're at the end of the day they're hanging out with Jake on the golf course and not Pete,
right?
I mean, maybe they're hanging out with Peter on the golf course, but I can't imagine that.
I hope I'm wrong and they fire him, or but if they don't fire him, I feel like maybe they come back next season and they just suck out loud because the morale is so bad.
Yeah.
So maybe that happens and we suck at the beginning of the season and then they're like, well, fuck. And then they have to fire him. So
yeah, they could sandbag it. I mean, they might just naturally do that if the room has been lost. I don't know. Pink slip Monday morning. That's my move if I'm a GM.
All right. I bet you $20.
I'm not going to take that wager.
All right. Well, let's move on to breakup day.
Okay.
So first, we'll start with Peter DeBoer. A reporter asked if teams figure us out during the playoffs and if that's why we kind of do worse as the playoffs go along. Peter said that we're a team that is known for scoring off the rush, but the rush dries up during playoffs and we need to be better about figuring out other ways to score, which is not wrong. I've been saying all along we need to have more net front presence. We need to be better about picking up rebounds.
Yep.
We've been really floundering since the loss of Pavelski. Mm-hmm. But it feels to me like maybe it's the coach's job to make sure that they do that. And it doesn't seem like they've ever emphasized that because it's not like a thing that has ever been corrected throughout the course of the season.
That does seem like maybe a problem that the coach would solve.
Right. He also described our power play as hot, which I would describe it as lukewarm at best. Like we had a couple times when we did good, but then...
it was so bad for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, but like in the playoffs, he said it was hot. And I was like, well, yeah, there was like that one game at the beginning of the series, which is the only reason we won the first game of the series and didn't get fully swept and only gentlemanly swept.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like,
but the rest of it, nah.
No, right. They had all those goals from the power play. And then Edmonton was like, oh, you know what? We should not let them do that. Let's try this next time. And then it didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then he got into his decision to pull Jake. And he said Jake is the best young goalie in the league, but does that mean he can't be coached? Is the coaching in the room with us right now? Like, that's not coaching.
No.
I'm sorry, what he did with Jake was not coaching. It was just having a tantrum, like I said.
Yeah.
He tried to compare it to healthy scratching Dodonov or putting Jamie on the fourth line, but it's different things. And
totally
he knows
different.
that.
He knows that.
He's being disingenuous.
He is.
So
he's a damn liar.
He said that there's no bigger fan of Jake as a goalie and a person than he is, and he just has a funny way of showing it, is all I'm saying.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. So then we talked to Jamie Benn, and Jamie, they asked him if he's going to be returning because this is the last year of his contract. And he said he'd really like to. And he, doesn't plan to think about going anywhere else because this is the only thing he's ever known.
Yeah.
Which is true. He does not know a lot.
He does.
Dallas is like the thing that he knows very little.
He'd have to figure out how to get around a new city and how yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of my big takeaway from that. He was kind of funny and relaxed, if you grade on a curve.
Yeah. I walked away during that to do something in the kitchen, and I don't know. When he goes on his motivational speaking tour, I will not be buying tickets.
He would never go on a motivational speaking tour. That's the last thing he would do.
Oh,
when he retires, he's going to disappear from public life, and he's going to be so excited about it.
He could get a job at a sleep clinic, helping people fall asleep, maybe.
Oh my God. He totally would be great at that.
Yeah.
The funny thing was when they asked him about Mikko Rantanen, and he was like, yeah, he's different from the other Finns.
That was funny.
Yeah. So he was like, in a good way, but yeah, basically.
Mikko's not like the other Finns.
Yeah. He's a cool Finn. Then we did talk to Jake. Jake said it was embarrassing to be pulled. And when you get pulled from a game, whether it's playoff game or regular season, you just want to leave the ice and go get directly into bed and hide. He was asked if being pulled would affect his relationship with Pete, and he dodged the question. He basically just said, I'm going to focus on being the best goalie in the world, and then it won't matter who's coaching me. One of you could be coaching me, speaking to the press.
Right.
It was very telling. He did not answer yes or no about whether it would affect his relationship.
Oh, yeah.
He was just like, yeah, no, I'm going to have a hot girl summer. And fuck that guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just without saying it. Everyone agreed that he was super classy in the way he handled the questions and didn't outright throw him under the bus. Oh, I forgot the worst part. In Peter's thing, they said, how was the conversation that you had with Jake after all of this? And he said, we haven't talked yet.
Yeah.
I wish you could see the shocked face I'm making right now. I said it out loud. I'm still shocked.
You're still shocked.
I'm still shocked.
Did not talk after the game or before the exit interview press.
It's been a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like, why have you not talked to the goalie that you humiliated?
Yeah.
Like, why not? Why?
Yeah.
The theory is that Jake blocked him.
I like that theory.
I like that theory too.
Yeah.
Jake's like, not today, bitch.
Man, I just forward Pete's calls to like my agent.
Absolutely.
I feel like you can talk to my agent.
I just like reroute it. Like, he's like, oh, I thought I dialed Jake's number. And the agent's like, yeah, Jake forwarded your calls to me, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. No, I think that Jake is not happy.
No.
But I think he's a way classier person than we are, because he's not letting on like through words, but he is definitely smart enough to know how to play the game.
I would certainly be marching into the management office. Actually, I wouldn't. I'd march my agent right in there. I'd be like, Jake's not happy.
Jake also said at one point that every year has been a disappointment. Like,
oh God, that was a brutal sentence.
Yeah, referring to like he hasn't won an NCAA championship. He's never won a Stanley Cup, and he was like, yeah, every year has been a disappointment. And I was like, oh, that's rough, but also so relatable.
Yeah, he said something like every year's been a disappointment since I've been 12 years old or something. It felt that way. He's like, no, I've never had a good year, because I've never won the things that I'm trying to win. Exactly. Yikes.
Yeah, big yikes.
It's like something Duchesne would say.
Oh, right.
Or no, Harley, that's what.
Yes, Harley. Yeah. I mean, Duchesne's also an anxiety ball, but yeah, Harley for sure.
Harley would be like, my life is a constant disappointment.
Oh my God. Harley and Jake, existential club meeting.
Oh man, yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
That's great. Well, speaking of Duchesne, he said pretty plainly that he still wants to be here with the Stars next season, but he's not sure if it'll work out.
Yep.
Basically because the money situation is kind of crazy after Rantanen got acquired.
Yeah.
Which, understandable. Also, just because, he signed a short-term contract last year and, he's got a family and would like to have longer term and stability, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. He was, it was a little bit of a desperate interview with him where he's like, no, please, can I stay?
I really love it here, though. I want to be here forever.
Just
guys.
Let me reiterate how much I love this company and how I do anything.
Yeah. Just, please let me stay.
Yep.
So, I mean, I do love that he loves it. And he did acknowledge that he had a big fall off in the playoffs.
Sure.
He said at one point that he thinks he was hitting poles of nets that weren't even in the same arena.
Oh, that's funny.
Which was pretty funny, yeah. I thought. So, Tyler Seguin's interview was interesting. He said that he thought this was one of the best Stars teams he's been on, if not the best. And then he said, especially on paper.
Yeah.
And then he said, which is why the end was so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they had all these ingredients and they just couldn't pull it together. He said that he got to win the cup his first year and it really brings you together. He's apparently still on a group text with all of the guys he won the cup with his first year back in Boston.
Sure.
A million years ago.
Sending memes to his boys.
Yeah, probably. Now it's probably baby pictures because they're all old.
Right.
But he really wants to win a cup with and for Jamie, who really deserves it. He said, but the playoffs don't care about what people deserve, which was like,
yeah.
I'm like, when did you get insightful, Tyler Seguin? What happened to you?
That man had a baby and like, I don't know.
Drank from the fountain of wisdom. Like,
yeah. No, he's like a He's a legend in the wisdom department now.
It's crazy. Like, I'm just like, who is this person? He's very interesting. Like, he's still like a goofy little flirt, but like he also just drops these wisdom bombs, and you're like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
It's wild. I really enjoyed it.
He's probably working on a book right now.
Probably. No, I've just really enjoyed the evolution of Tyler Sagan.
Tyler Sagan's Guide to Stoicism.
That would be great. Oh my God, I'd read that in a second.
Skinner's going to read that one. He's apparently all into Stoicism.
Apparently, yeah. Oh, do you think Tyler reads the audiobook too? I'm listening to that.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be super great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, I'm in. Sign me up. I want advanced copy. Yeah, no, Tyler talked about, how he and Jamie have really changed from when they sort of started. And now at this point, they're like married and they're fathers. And he was like, I don't know if I'd say we were immature before, but he was smiling when he said it. And I think he was like, no, we were definitely immature before. He's like, but we've certainly matured.
Yep.
So he was being kind of cute and funny. But also they asked him about what Pete said about the rush drying up and things like that. And he was like, yeah, I mean, that's true. He's like, but I think you have to develop the stuff beyond the rush before you get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And like next year, maybe we take from this is that we need to be in, playoff mode before the playoffs and not like wait until during the playoffs to get there.
They certainly weren't in playoff mode with the last 8 or 9 games of the season.
Those
games were hot trash.
No, it was the worst. And then finally, we had a little bit of injury news come out. So Nils Lundqvist was cleared to play literally the day before Game 5. I don't know how much we would have seen of him had we stayed in.
Right.
Because he hasn't played literally all season. I know he has been skating with the team, but it's really hard to get up to playoff speed after you've been off for literally like the entire year.
Well, he probably would have got up to the Dallas Stars level of playoff speed, but...
That's rude. That's rude and mean.
He probably could have done that.
Probably could have, though. And then also we got confirmation that the slash from Darnell Nurse did in fact fracture Rope's foot.
I don't know. I'll believe it when I see an x-ray.
That is an actual thing that somebody said on the internet that I saw.
And then when you show me the x-ray, I'm going to be like, that was photoshopped.
Yeah, that was, how do I know that was his x-ray? Like, oh, do you want me to go to the x-ray machine? Well, but maybe you switched the patient when I wasn't looking.
Right.
Like,
need full video of him walking in, walking out of the radio tech there developing the images, the doctor reading it, and then it'd be like, nah, that's AI video.
No, the level of cope is insane. Like now the people who were like really insisting that he was still diving are like, you know what? I bet his foot was already broken before that. And that's why he reacted so much. So maybe it wasn't really a dive, but it's just that it was already broken. And then they're trying to blame it on Nurse. And I'm just like, the emotional and like logistical shenanigans, it's just insane to me.
And it literally doesn't matter anymore.
It literally doesn't matter. Like, again, I'm not a person who thought it should have been a 5-minute major in the first place.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, it happened. It was a hockey thing. Like, I don't think Darnell Nurse meant to break his foot. And yeah, Rope cross-checked him before that. Like, it was just the two of them playing physical hockey during the playoffs, which is a thing that happens. They both could have gone to the penalty box. It was just an unfortunate thing that happened. But because people decided that he reacted like was soft or something, that he is therefore like you can't ever admit you were wrong.
Right.
You just can't ever do it.
No, I don't even understand us still talking about it, or people still talking about it. And I don't know. It's just a strong indication that we need to turn off the internet.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to kind of look forward to maybe being off the internet a little bit this summer. So.
Yeah. I got to get back to my lifestyle of my slow living frog and toad.
Yeah,
kind of. I just want to be excited about the mail coming again and not like reading comments on YouTube or Instagram.
I've taken you too far away from like building loots. Like you just need to build loots.
Yeah, my life was a lot simpler before this year.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It was great. I had not been on social media in 10 years, and I'm back on Instagram now. Oh boy, it's just been a downward spiral for me.
But you don't have to do that next year. I'll make sure to do all this.
Yeah.
I haven't asked you to do it this year either.
No, I know.
You just, get curious. It just happens.
Things happen.
It's a disease.
But yeah, my recommendation for everyone, just be turn off your phone.
Right. I can't turn mine off because my notes are on there. So basically, at this point, Stars are out, Oilers are moving on, Panthers are moving on, as we said.
Yep.
And really, I'm not surprised.
No.
Because Okay. So anybody who follows me online knows that I did hire an Etsy witch to cast a good luck spell.
Oh, you did. Yes.
For the stars.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in that stuff. I mostly did it for a bit. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But I'm also what does it hurt? But
well, when you don't buy the upgrade that they offer you, I think it maybe does hurt things.
She did try to upsell me at the last minute and I declined. And perhaps that did have an impact. So sorry, I didn't spend an extra $5 on the booster pack for
the booster pack
for the
spell.
Etsy witch spell.
Yeah, she just used tap water, not moon water.
Apparently.
Yep.
So no, there are, and I'm not the only one. There are several of us who have hired Etsy witches.
Yep.
And it's hockey. Hockey players are superstitious. Everybody has rituals.
Yeah.
It's all just kind of part of the fun of it, I think. I do, however, believe very strongly in something, and that is the hockey narrative.
Mm-hmm, you do.
I do believe in the hockey narrative. Maybe it's because I'm a writer, but I just think it's a very powerful force. And the hockey narrative is a big thing. Every player has their own individual narrative, over the course of their career and each season. Every team has a narrative, which is different than the franchise narrative. Mm-hmm. There's the overall franchise narrative, and then each individual team of the year has a narrative.
Sure.
And then every year, when playoffs happen, all of these narratives collide. And at the end, it's just basically what's the last narrative standing.
Yeah.
And there just couldn't be a better narrative.
It's pretty good.
It's a really good narrative. You've got the Oilers and Panthers facing off again. They faced off last year. Mm-hmm. Last year, the Panthers won the cup. Heartbreaker for the Oilers. Connor McDavid still hasn't won a cup. Best player in the world. It's terrible. It's a tragedy. This year, the Panthers are trying to win it again. That's a storyline, sure. But the Panthers have also kind of become the villain of the story. And they've leaned into that, certainly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tied into the Four Nations thing, too, with the America-US thing. We have an American team. We have a Canadian team. Matthew Tkachuk was part of the whole Four Nations American shenanigans. There's just all kinds of different plot threads going on. Last year, the Oilers didn't touch the cup when they won the, Western Conference Cup thing that they win.
Yeah.
And this year they're fuck it. And they're just manhandling it. Leon Draisaitl's carrying it down the hallway like a little goblin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like a pot of gold.
It did. Yeah. He was just just taking it to where it's going to live.
Yep.
So, I think the only way to beat a narrative like that is to play really fun, really sexy hockey. And the Stars didn't do that this year. So they did not deserve to be in the finals.
No, they certainly didn't. Well, yeah.
And had they made it to the finals, then they would have been going up against the Panthers doing a back-to-back, and they would have lost there too. So I can't be mad about it. I am really rooting for the Oilers, which is funny because last year I was rooting for the Panthers, but the Panthers decided to be villains, and I guess I don't always like a bad boy.
Yeah.
This year I'm going for my bitchy German and his friends.
Yep.
And I really would like them to win. I woke up the day after the Stars were eliminated and I was like, am I going to still be too bitter? And now I was immediately all right, let's fucking go Oilers. So yeah, I'm down for it. We had all of these potentials for good storylines, but none of them were sustaining. We had our good storyline, which was the Mikko redemption storyline against Carolina or against Colorado.
That whole series there was like a Stanley Cup for me. I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah, that was our redemption storyline. Carolina winning a game in the Eastern Conference Final was their redemption storyline.
Yep.
A Dallas Canes final was just not as compelling a storyline for the narrative as the Oilers-Panthers one.
No, it's just Mikko, a single plot line.
Yeah, Mikko played in Carolina for 14 games. It was a hot minute.
Right.
That's just not as hardcore as the two teams that made it to the finals last year playing again for redemption.
Yeah.
Or to prove that they really are the best.
Right.
How do you top that narrative?
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, Connor McDavid, he's hockey Sisyphus. If he wins the cup, he might actually push the boulders to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Now you could chill out a little bit, maybe.
And there's also clips that started going around online of during the handshake line last year after the Panthers won the cup of Matthew Tkachuk shaking Connor McDavid's hand and saying, we'll see you here next year.
Yeah.
Calling it right then that there is going to be a final.
Yep.
which people are like, see, it's proof that it's rigged. And I'm like, no, it's just proof that Matthew Tkachuk knows that
he said that to every team.
I know, seriously. I was just like, no, he just knows what a good storyline is. And he probably just says it all the time because he knows it'll make a great clip later on.
Yeah, if it happens, then
Yeah, he said it to Stuart Skinner too. So,
right.
I mean, same team, but yeah, I'm sure if you went and pulled up clips of other teams, they might have said it then too.
Yep.
But yeah, I just think, it's like this pairing, it's packed full of storylines. It's like that meme with the car. It's like patting the roof of the car. It's like,
oh yeah,
storylines.
Man, that's an old school meme.
It is an old school.
People aren't going to get that reference.
Oh, I think people will. So.
Yeah. Anyway,
agree to disagree. Anyway, yeah, I just think it's I think it is still going to be a fun final, even if my team is out.
Yeah,
and I'm just really pulling for the Oilers to win it this year for Canada, for hockey, for good guys.
Yeah,
for all of it.
All of it.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what happens, I guess. Yeah.
Also, if the Oilers win, then we can be done hoping for the Oilers to ever win again, because Connor McDavid will have his cup and then everybody can relax.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. Because, if they don't win, then they're going to still be going for a redemption storyline, and then we'll never get our redemption storyline. So,
right. They're always going to trump.
Our redemption storyline. Yeah. So, it's the narrative comes above everything else.
Yep. Well, yeah. I don't know if I have much more to say.
Yeah, I guess we're just going to have to see how it plays out.
It's certainly been fun doing this for so long, and I guess we'll do it a little bit more.
You sound so convincing when you say that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see. I guess I'm excited to see the finals.
It'll probably be nice for you to watch some games with me where I'm not stressing out. And
you're mostly not stressed, but you got stressed on those last couple games for sure.
I mean, I went in kind of assuming we were going to lose.
Right.
So that helped keep the stress levels to a minimum.
After that first goal, and you buried your hands in your hands in your face, your face in your hands.
Yes, both. No, I literally shoved my hands inside of my face. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll do some of our own witchcraft for next year. It's certainly possible.
Yeah, I'm not going to outsource to these Etsy witches anymore.
No, I don't think you can outsource that. You have to, control your own manifestation. So.
All right, weirdo.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't even make fun of you anymore because I paid an Etsy witch.
No, I mean, as soon as you paid an Etsy witch, I told you that Jupiter was moving into Cancer on June 8th. And
I couldn't even make fun of you like I usually would.
Which will be very interesting depending on, when these teams were founded and what house Jupiter is in on their charts,
What have I done?
See? We can just go down this road.
Oh, boy. This is like that time you left your chakra open.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to close those things up.
Well, with that, I'm going to say it's the end of regulation for this week's episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on Tumblr, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram at Ice is Slippery Pod. You can also email us at iceisslipperypod@gmail.com, where we would love to get suggestions for games and hear your hockey hot takes. Until next week, stay out of the penalty box.